And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Coburn's The Bald Truth.
I'm telling you, man, I'm not kidding. I really hope this is not the onset of ALS because I'm getting these cramps in my hands. It is such a fucking pain in the ass. Jesus.
How's your potassium levels?
Everything seems, I get my blood work done. Everything seems to be fucking on point.
Eat a banana.
That of a young person, apparently. Everyone says like I'm a freak show, and I'm like, yeah, put that on my tombstone.
Here lies Spencer Coburn. He was a freak show.
Guys, this is the Hair Loss Show. Phone number 888-659-3727. Sorry that we are late. Everyone who's tuning in on iHeartRadio, iTunes Radio, Stitcher Radio, and all of the other audio streaming sites or resources like iHeartRadio, if you're listening in your cars, you may not even know we're late because I think they do a replay. And then all of a sudden, they just kind of like as soon as we're on, they put us on. But we were late again, so I apologize. If you're new to the broadcast, don't know who I am, why I'm here, or who the guy whose voice you'll be hearing, or if you're watching the broadcast, the guy who's on your left. My name's Spencer Coburn. I almost forgot my name. I'm a consumer advocate for men and women dealing with hair loss. I'm the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. I'm also a guy who has been dealing with hair loss for well over 34 years. When I say well over, it's like 5 months over.
I was going to say,
yeah.
How much more? Was it 38 years? 39?
34 fucking years. And if you're watching the broadcast, listen, I've been lucky enough to save most of my hair using FDA-approved products. This is a partial sham. There is a tremendous amount of hairspray. Really, actually not right now because I just got out of the shower and there's no wind happening. So I was able to kind of jerry-rig it without as much hairspray as usual. But if I leave the house tonight, the studio, which I will, I got to use a half a can. That's just the way that it is. The guy on your left, or the guy whose voice you're about to hear when he finally says something, there he is. His name is Joe Tillman. He's the original hair transplant mentor. He's a guy who has really the first guy to document his entire hair transplant journey online, OG style, before social media, before putting up a website was as easy as getting WordPress, situation happening, and a template. They've made everything so easy, which I guess is okay, but it was a lot more difficult back in the day to try to harm people on the internet than it is today.
It was a lot more difficult back then, for sure.
It certainly was. Possible, but a lot more difficult. But Joe's a guy who has been in the trenches. Fucking hand. Jesus. Been in the trenches for like 20 years. How long have you been in the trenches?
It's 2019, so 18 years.
18 years. Well, not only the first guy online to document his hair transplant repair journey and his entire journey, he's a guy who's been working in the field in an office, one of the most well-known hair transplant clinics, well, actually on the internet, but really the guys who led the way for a very long time in this insane industry. But as far as state-of-the-art hair transplant surgery is concerned, Joe was right there, met a lot of patients, seen a lot of surgeries, knows where all the bodies are buried. I kind of had a broader sense for the last 20 years where I've worked kind of with many, many clinics, and I've had thousands upon thousands of people contact us through all of our resources. about all the shit that goes on in this fucked up field. So if you want the truth, this is it. Bottom line is, if you're considering surgical hair restoration, surgery is really your last resort. Many of you guys will never be candidates for hair transplant surgery. You shouldn't even consider hair transplant surgery. 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. Less than 5% of women are hair transplant candidates. And to jump around, Joe, which is what I do sometimes when I'm like manic and I just come out of the shower and rush into the studio, I saw another fucked up Instagram post by a well-known doctor here in Los Angeles, and I can't stand it anymore, of a 45-year-old woman, beautiful woman, sitting in this guy's chair, draws this heart-shaped hairline on her. Yes, she has some recession of the hairline. It doesn't look like there's much miniaturization going on. But in order to bring that hairline forward, the number of grafts that are needed are potentially immeasurable compared to what you will be able to donate for that small area. And the promises that are being made are just fucking repugnant. I saw another result, and this is a proudly posted result of another female from the same clinic. And if you take a look at this result, go on Instagram right now, you may know who I'm talking about, Joe, and you look at this result, it's like, what the fuck? And this is the best possible scenario, the best lighting. This is the ideal result that they're showing. And if you were to see this in daylight, if any poor woman were to get this done, in my view, they would believe that their life was destroyed. So I'm telling you guys, please, if you're considering surgical hair restoration, heed our warning. What you see on Facebook, on Instagram, on message forums, what you see being promoted, even on people's websites, or especially on people's websites, but stuff that's coming directly to you is almost all bullshit. There are a handful of surgeons who are doing really great surgery. Most of what's being done out there is shit. And so many people who are having surgery are not yet ready, either emotionally, are not physical candidates or, physiological candidates for surgery, have not tried all of their other potential, what's the word, Joe? Help me. Resources.
Resources, yep.
Before considering jumping into surgery. Surgery is sold like it's the first thing. Like, you're losing your hair, look, get some surgery. There's hair transplant surgery. It's easy. We fix this. It's not like getting a set of veneers. It's not like getting a rhinoplasty. It is a much more nuanced, difficult procedure than you guys could ever imagine. And most of you who have had surgery today, sadly, if you're tuning to the show too late, you're probably going to be fucked up.
I'll tell you a classic example of someone that will get fucked up is about an hour before we went on the air. Was that me?
Dude, it's always you. And by the way, I'm going to let you finish. I'm sorry about this makeshift tripod that I have for my phone. But as you guys know, I jerry-rig everything. And I have to make a tripod because I don't want to buy one. And I will have something configured for next week. But right now, I'm using this lovely LED work light.
It is quite lovely, by the way.
Which you guys see in the shot. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, about an hour before we went on air, I saw a post online by a young man who posted his photos. He's not even a Norwood 2, 23 years old. And he was talking about just getting a little procedure to restore his hairline. It doesn't need to be restored. And he goes on to talk about the different clinics he's considering, and then he says he's going to talk to a dermatologist about the possibility of finasteride or minoxidil after he gets his hair transplant. And if anyone has any comments that are negative towards his ideas of getting surgery, don't bother replying at all.
Fuck him then. Fuck him.
I replied.
Okay. And where was this?
Challenge on.
Where was this?
Oh, that was on Bald Truth Talk.
Fuck, I should read that site once in a while.
You should. You should. So I just want to let me just read this real quick. This.
By the way, I have a question. Is my sound going in and out, or is it just my levels of my headset?
Probably your headset.
Okay.
Your sound goes in and out when you kind of do this. Is my sound going in and out?
Well, that happens all the time. Yes.
I just recently signed up. I've been following this forum for quite some time now. Apparently not long enough. I've been losing hair for a few years, maturing, you could say. My hairline receded, lost some density, nothing too scary, but I don't want to settle, and I'm going for a hair transplant. I'm 23, barely Norwood 2, not even. I just want to lower my hairline and get some more density in the front. What could go wrong?
Jesus.
I contacted this clinic, and this clinic. These two clinics said they won't do it. These other ones said they would, which I think is great in order to achieve density. Here are some pictures where you can see what I'm talking about. No, I was thinking about going for the unshaven FUE. I don't feel like giving an explanation to anyone. Please share your thoughts. I'm not taking anything at the moment, but I will consult a dermatologist. He actually went to the trouble of doing italics after I get my HT to see if I could take minoxidil or finasteride. Please don't reply if you're going to say that I should wait, that I'm too young, or that it's not worth it. I made up my mind after years, he's 23, of following the topic, and I plan on taking care of my hair properly in the future. Not that I'm doing it now, so I don't need another hair transplant. This has got disaster written all over it. Guaranteed this kid is setting himself up for a big mind fuck for the foreseeable future. So I wrote back, sorry, but if you don't want full honesty and openness for all your answers, don't ask for opinions. Yes, you're too young, and, quote, I just want to lower my hairline and get some more density in the front, unquote, isn't as simple as your statement. What happens if, 1, you have poor growth, 2, the hairline is full of multi-hair grafts, 3, the angles are all wrong, 4, it just generally doesn't look natural, 5, you experience permanent shock loss, 6, you experience accelerated loss behind the hair transplant. Waiting until after you have a hair transplant as part of your plan to see a derm and talk about finasteride, that's like saying you'll wait to see a dentist to talk about fluoride and flossing after you have your buddy rip out your rotten tooth with some string and a doorknob. You're going backward as seeing your derm and learning about medication.
I wasn't listening for a second until I heard that line. That was awesome.
Thank you. You're going backward as seeing your dermatologist and learning about medication is something you can do far sooner than you can have surgery. What if you get bad side effects from medication and you continue to lose your hair? Or number 2, medication just doesn't work. Everything about your approach and your situation is just a bad idea and represents a big middle finger to common sense. So, look, I'm not going to get through to this kid. I mean, it's guaranteed. But for any of you that are in the same situation, you're young, you're seeing just a little bit of an indicator that you're losing your hair, don't freak the fuck out. Don't get surgery. Take your time to research what the hell is going on and what the downsides are of every option that you're being told is available to you. Because as I was telling someone else just the other day, it's just like physics. With every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. With every surgery or every medication that you take, there's going to be some sort of reaction that will be good or bad, and chances are it could be somewhat bad. So you gotta research this, man, because if not, you'll wind up like me, stuck in this fucking industry for almost 30 years, or dealing with hair loss and hair transplants for almost 30 years, and wind up getting into it as a career. You don't want to do that.
And
you want to be like me?
Yeah, you don't want to be like Joe. No, but the reason, and here's the situation. I chose the other route that Joe is telling you to choose. I stepped back. I was 21 years old when I already had the money. I was already relatively self-made. I was an entrepreneur by that age. And I had enough money to pay an exorbitant amount to Dr. Norman Orenreich for what they considered at the time state-of-the-art hair transplant surgery. He was willing to operate on me when there was no place to put any grafts. I was like, I would have liked my hairline lowered a little bit because he said he can do it. But you know what? I said, something is fucked up here. Something is wrong with this picture. So I took the other route. And I just went like, I was totally anti-surgery for such a long time, did my research, waited years before realizing I'm not an emotional candidate for surgery anyway. But I was lucky enough to save my hair by using finasteride. It wasn't available for me at 21 years old. I had to wait 7 years before I can get my hands on that drug. So I had to deal with a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress. You have it at your fucking fingertips now. So get on the talk to your doctor about getting on the medication first. And it is quite possible you will never need a hair transplant. But if you have a hair transplant at the age of 23, hoping that you're going to maintain that hair and your native hair with the use of medication after the fact, I would say you have at least an 80% chance, and this is a guesstimate, of being completely fucked. Your life will never be the same, and if you don't want to hear it, then go fuck yourself. Was that harsh? I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean that. If you don't want to hear it, then I'm sorry, but, you know, we're giving you the information to help your life. And trust me, the physicians that pay their monthly dues to be a part of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons support what I'm saying, because if they didn't support what I'm saying, they wouldn't be a part of what we do. Surgery is a last resort. That's it.
That's it. Good night.
Good night. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. We had a full board like 3 minutes ago until Joe went on with his fucking story. So call back. If you don't call back, we're not going to stay live. And for everyone listening on iHeart and every place else, they just run a tape. They get to hear everything. For everyone who's watching the broadcast, it goes blank. We go home. I am home. And then that's it.
And you guys don't have to call. I got videos to make. So I'm okay.
Yeah, I just rushed back. I just got back from Studio City, which I have to drive to fucking Studio City to get my hair cut because I cannot trust anybody else with this whole Trump the early years look that I have. And this guy's he's already had one heart attack, which I told you I panicked when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I fight traffic just to get a fucking haircut. And the only day that he had available was, of course, show day.
I imagine he actually has a stroke, and your first question is your right side okay? Your scissor hands, are they okay?
Dude, let me tell you
Full
something.
mobility?
I'm going to tell you something about this guy. First of all, this guy has an incredible zest for life. He's about 5'4". He literally has literally. He doesn't have to stand on a box, but he's got a box by the chair. Let's put it that way. He loves living in Southern California. All he talks about is how great this country is. He's 75 years old. He doesn't understand young people and all this stuff. I got a guy who's like 90 sitting next to me with eyebrow dye on his face. Right? And this is where I'm going to get my hair cut. Because I've been going to him for so long, since I moved to California. He was probably like, I hate to say it, he's probably my age when I met the guy.
Wow. Yeah, that would make sense.
So he had his heart attack. Guys, we'll take your calls, 888-659-3727. He had his heart attack, called the shop to make an appointment. It's like, Lou's in the hospital. I'm like, what? You know? So I hire, I hire a nurse, advocate, send her to the fucking hospital to make sure this guy's okay. Sits with him for 3 fucking days. No, I'm kidding. But that's how I felt.
That's hilarious.
So I had to use Common Law's hairstylist because I had to go to this conference. I really needed a haircut. I told him I would pay him extra because it took an hour. I had to walk him through every detail of cutting the top, making sure that if he cut, because dude, if it's cut too short, I'm bald.
You know what? Here's the thing. Okay, so here's how you hedge your bets. Okay.
Yeah.
Next time you go for a cut, take a video camera. Actually, hire a film crew with multiple cameras to take footage from every angle and have him recite what he's doing as he's doing it.
What I decided to do is, because this was this was a high-end Beverly Hills thing where, and sadly, like it's like all, you know, these women with big purses, and then me sitting in this chair in this one big room. They put a smock on you, the whole thing. But like you go in and you change, you take off your shirt. It's a whole fucked up thing, and then it's all public. So I'm explaining it to this guy, and I don't care. I don't get embarrassed by that stuff. But I was thinking, like, you know what? He seemed a little embarrassed. Like, he didn't know how to handle it. He's never had anyone who's walked him through something like this before. So I think that if, God forbid, something happens to my guy, I will just hire someone, I'll actually have a nice barber chair brought up here, set up a little corner in the studio with a mirror, and have the guy come to my home and cut my hair.
And then have the video of your current guy playing up on a big screen so he can watch and learn how to cut your hair.
I'll cry every time I see him. Let him rest in peace. He's still alive, though.
I was going to say, it's like, what do you mean let him rest in peace?
He's okay. He's okay. But every time I call and make an appointment, I have a little bit of anxiety. Let's take a phone call.
I get it.
Hey, guy, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
It's Mordy from South Florida. Call number 1.
Mordy, what's happening, man? I'm about to go live on Instagram. So this is what's going to happen. When I do that, I have to press my mic on and off. So if you think that you're not still on the air, you are. There may be a little bit of a delay.
I'm on YouTube anyway.
No, you're on YouTube, yeah, but you won't be able to hear. If my mic is off, you can't hear me. So we'll just keep making this happen. So let's see how I can do it.
All right, that's cool.
All right.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
So, all right. So, hey guys. So, first question is for Joe. How are you progressing with your transplant? How's it looking? How's it healing? What's going on?
Completely healed. Like, zero indicator. I mean, this has been the case for a few weeks. Zero indicators that anything was done. I was wondering a few weeks ago, as it was getting longer, I thought I could notice the extraction pattern was standing out a bit, and I thought, oh, shit. Is it going to be my biggest fear? And here we are at, what was it, July 3rd. So today's what, the 13th? So what, a month and 10 days. That's 5.5 weeks, almost 6 weeks, 5.5 weeks. And I had it cut. I reshaved it 2 weeks afterwards. So we're 3.5 weeks of growth from a zero guard. And I'm going to. I saw Herb Ellie in the chat room ask me if I could do a donor flash. Sounds like a perv move, but here we go. Slow 360 with the donor zone. Gotta take off my earbuds.
All right, here we go. There's a little bit of a delay on the YouTube side, so I'm going to have to wait to see it. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Jessica's too close.
Okay. So that was my first question for you. And Spence, it was good catching you on Instagram earlier today. It's funny to actually see you there and to say hello.
Well, listen, you know what? If you're there and you see that little green light on, I'll say hello.
Yeah, that was nice.
Were you having a discussion while I'm doing my donor exhibition?
No. What happened?
I'm still waiting to see it, man, because I'm not seeing it for whatever reason.
There's a delay. There's a delay on YouTube. There's a delay on the Bald Truth. That's the way it works. So you did your whole 360 thing, and then they're not even going to see it for another minute.
That's about right.
I just saw it go like on the YouTube channel. It's already gone through. Have you not seen it?
Not yet.
Strange. Okay. Well, anyway, so okay. I did it. I believe. So it's growing and fine. The progress is fine. My only issue is just I left it long on top. The sides are growing out. They're probably I can't guess how long it is, but there's a big disparity between, or a big demarcation between the density of my crown versus the throat area. So it's kind of, it really stands out. My crown does right now. There's no coverage. And then with the long hair on top, it just kind of looks silly. So it's looking better. It looks a lot better, but I'm still considering, like, I'm considering less and less now, cutting the top really short, but it's still on my mind. I'm still really close to doing that. So we'll see.
Dude, what's going on in the background? You got all kinds of sounds and chimes and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, that's actually you going live. No, that's me. That's me.
Okay.
It's coming through the phone. Yeah. No, that was you, Spencer, coming on live, and that was my computer chiming because you just went live on Instagram and said, "Hey, go watch Spencer live." So I'm like, I am watching Spencer live. But anyway.
Oh, there you go.
Well, thank you for watching me live.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go on there and make sure to react positively to the Instagram as well, because we need as much positive reinforcement for Instagram as we can for the show.
I'm spamming everybody right now. I just figured out how to do that.
Oh, cool. That works. So yeah, that's one thing. I am going to go see Dr. Greco about my elbow and possibly doing another shot with PRP on the head. Although I'm not convinced that it's worth it. I may just do the elbow and one other joint. I've kind of, my own growth has been kind of plateaued for a while. So I'm not losing ground, but I'm not gaining ground either. And I think I've mentioned this in a couple of other calls that I can't really say that where I ended up is any more aesthetically pleasing there than where I was when I started. So, which isn't to say that there wasn't growth. There is. It's just not necessarily, at least from where I'm standing, I don't look any better, than I did at the very beginning. So, I'm going to see what I do next. I'm decided to shave the sides and let the top, what there is of it, grow out a little bit more to see if I can get some more coverage. If not, then I may pay a visit. to the doctors again. One particular I want to pay a visit to, who I've actually seen some good video, is the doctor who shares the same name with that infamous banker who offed himself. So he's very lucky because now there's only one person named Jeffrey Epstein.
I got to tell you, I remember years ago when the physician Jeffrey Epstein contacted me and was talking about that. Every time someone looks him up online, they see this stuff. This was the first round when they were talking about Jeffrey Epstein. And I can get, when this was over, there had to be, I'm not saying that he was happy that this guy was dead, but there had to be some sort of a sigh of relief.
Yeah. The sad thing is they kind of almost look a little bit alike, because they're both kind of, they're both white Jewish guys with salt, pepper, gray hair, So, I mean,
I would say there's a very big similarity. And a lot of people have told me that too. Yeah.
I'd say the one with the private island had more hair, but yeah, it was all salt and pepper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mr. Private Island definitely had more hair. Although, anyway, so his site, actually, just to speak a little bit about him, his site's really good, and he actually put up a lot of results on his website. So if you're listening, Jeffrey, I really like your site. I would say that to me it's nicer than the other big Florida doctor. It's more substance and less flash, I guess. But I mean, that means nothing.
Mordy, I want to hear I want people to hear what you're saying, because we are essentially now in a battle of the best SEO and the best looking website, and whoever has the best web presence. Now, if the before and afters, the videos, the tutorials, the educational content is, powerful, and it really looks great, then, terrific. But the reality is people are judged now, even when they're considering surgery, by their websites. And just remember, listen, Dr. Epstein is part of the IHRS, so this is nothing against what he's doing. And I'm glad that he has a really powerful, impactful website. But there are bad doctors out there that have really great websites and web presence as well. So you just
absolutely
can't go by that. That's the problem. It's just
no.
It's a great trick
Well,
of the trade, and it's the way people make decisions now. But people have to understand that.
Well, thanks for bringing that up, Spencer. For those who aren't unfamiliar with Mordy from previously Brooklyn and now Florida, I've been calling this show for over a year, and I have gained a tremendous amount of insight and education from these two gentlemen, and I still haven't even decided if I'm going to have surgery yet, and I have already investigated a number of different doctors. Some I've actually consulted with face-to-face. And others I've consulted with on the phone. So, the website I'm just talking about because it's compelling, but it is probably the last thing that you want to go and use as a measuring stick for any doctor, regardless of what services you're going to ask for, whether it be surgery or even just a prescription for finasteride. So, if those people listening, just because I say that it's a nice website doesn't mean that that's the reason I'm going to Dr. Epstein or not going to Dr. Epstein. So just to clarify for everyone who's listening.
Well said.
I just had some major problem with Instagram. I'm like panicking, like, how the fuck do I fix this?
Did you? You flipped the screen around.
Okay, and now there's all kinds of stuff where I can share videos. And I'm like, I don't want that on the screen.
Yeah,
I can't see it on.
Yeah, there's got to be a. Yeah, there's got to
Mordy,
be.
How's the personal life coming? How's the lady situation?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up. So I've decided to cut some fat, basically get rid of some of these women that I was pursuing because they're just basically tremendous waste of effort. I'm going to be.
So how long did that take? I mean, I would say the very first phone call you made to me, I told you that.
Yeah. Well, no. This is even. I mean, yeah. No, you look, Spencer. When it comes to women, you definitely have always hit the nail on the head. When it comes to women, you're a cynical bastard, but you're right.
Hey, I'm not cynical. I'm experienced, dude. I'm wise.
Yes, you are a wise guy.
Wisdom.
So I'm going to be meeting someone new. Actually, is being introduced to me by another friend of mine tomorrow night. And we'll see how it goes. I'll definitely let you know. Mom, actually, I think I told you guys a couple of calls. She's decided to stay the winter, so that's kind of moved my plans to stay here at least until the spring of next year. So that's kind of where that is. Okay. And we'll see. I'll let you guys know. I mean, I'm going to see her Wednesday. I will report back on Friday. Because I haven't really been doing much in the way of dating escapades. So you probably guys need a fresh infusion of complete Florida female lunacy to talk about.
That'd be great to look forward to. Unfortunately, we might not be here on Friday because I've got to be away from the studio. Spencer may go on without me.
Okay.
But if he does, then great. I'll watch the replay. If not, then you can tell us the story next Tuesday.
Oh, I will, and I'm sure it'll be a nail biter and a hair curler, whatever herbs people have left.
All right, Mordy. Listen, thanks for the call. Good luck with the lady situation, and maybe I'll just do a show on that on Friday because you guys really need help.
Look, with hair and with women.
Yeah, with hair and with women. I mean, you guys are all fucking suckers, man.
It's true.
No cynicism whatsoever, just wisdom with those words.
All right, Mordy, listen, we're going to take another call.
All right, man. Take it easy.
You take care.
All right.
Bye now.
See ya.
Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. I have this weird share photo video to my viewers, and I don't want to touch it right now because they may see something that
they can't unsee.
That they can't unsee.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's not like they haven't seen one before. What? All right, guys, let's see who this is. Oh, and by the way, I see through that this weird dark screen that someone wants us to talk about the late Dr. Seeger.
Oh, my God.
Which I find interesting. But, yeah, I mean, listen, I would say that, there was a time in this field when really moving large numbers of grafts, pure follicular units, was an anomaly. And what was Dr. Seeger's first name now? How come I can't remember his first fucking name?
What I want to say,
Robert Seeger?
I want to say Bob Seeger, but then that's
no,
the
it's not Bob Seeger. Gee, I am getting old. This is ridiculous.
Dr. Seeger here. David Seeger.
David Seeger, how can I figure it? Well, anyway, Dr. Seeger is one of the original IAHS members. And the funny thing about Dr. David Seeger is, and guys, we'll take your calls in a second, is that when he applied to the organization, he gave Dr. Alan Feller as a reference because he has to have worked on at least one hair transplant physician, at least at the time. And I just never forget the conversation with Dr. Feller, after I'm asking about his experience. He's like, well, what's this all about? And I told him what it's about. I said, it's the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgery. You're talking about 2000, maybe 2001. And he asked me what the criteria was. And at the time, it was all about doing pure follicular unit transplantation and about the use of stereomicroscopic dissection, having a full-time staff, stuff like that. And never forget, Alan Feller said to me, that's all just hype. You don't need to use microscopes. I'm like, well, okay, well, good. You're not applying to the organization, so don't worry about it. I'm glad that you had a great experience with Dr. David Seeger, who's helped a lot of people over the years. And there was a reason he went to see Dr. Seeger at the time, because at the time, Dr. Seeger was one of the handful of guys who were doing that type of real state-of-the-art surgery before anyone else was doing it. Now, with that said, he was also a proponent of the stick-and-place technique where his technicians were creating the recipient sites.
Yep.
So we're kind of going full circle here. And
we really are.
Yeah, and there's a lot of physicians who are complaining about technicians performing surgery, but the reality is that was happening in Bobby Limmer's office and in David Seeger's office.
Two of the giants of the industry 20 years ago.
And they were producing some
exactly that.
Fantastic results.
Arguably some of the best results.
Absolutely.
And no one said shit.
Right. They didn't say shit because it wasn't affecting their bottom line. They're like, yeah, we don't do it that way, but whatever.
Yep.
They didn't give a shit. Now, stop the fucking presses.
I remember that like it was like when I first came on the scene in 2002-ish. It's like, who cares? It's like, okay, whatever. That's the way he does it. We don't. I remember it clearly, and I had my arguments against stick and place at the time, and that was the only detail that I was addressing when I was talking about the differences between what Dr. Seeger did and what we did was the differences in stick and place versus pre-made incisions. The issue of there being technicians wasn't even on the radar.
Well, it didn't exist. And you know what? These guys, Bobby Limmer, I mean, he's still revered in this field.
Yep.
And his entire practice was stick and place. So, I mean, it's all fucking bullshit. Let's take a phone call. 888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
How's that left hand doing, Spence?
I'm telling you, man, it feels better, but I'm like, okay, it's ALS time. I hit that fucking wall.
I hadn't called for about a week now, so I just called and say, what's up? How you guys doing?
We're hanging in there, man. I'm trying to do this live on Instagram a little bit, and it's like confusing trying to get the sound through Instagram, pressing my mic on and off. So I have people saying that they can't hear the caller because I forgot to press my mic button. But otherwise, I'm doing fine.
Nice.
How are you?
Calling to say hello. Hanging in, just checking in.
All right, so what's new? What's going on this week in your life? Because I know that you're dealing with a lot.
No, well, just waiting things out, and more interested in like what Joe was saying at the beginning of the show about the guy who posted on the forum, and it's just fascinating to hear all the shit every show, and just the daily stuff about like people just don't want to know the truth. You know what I mean? It's like whether you have Joe's video about don't have a hair transplant, or it even reminds me of like back in high school when they used to show us these slides about like the effects of smoking, right? And you see all the different stuff, cancers and shit, and it's like whatever. I'll be good. It'll never happen to me. You know what I mean? Just people don't want to know.
Well, why you got to make me feel bad now?
It's just fascinating, though. I mean, it really is all about marketing, and you just playing on people's. I mean, playing on people's psychology. I mean, I walk around New York City, and you see some fucked up hair situations, and you would think, it's like the perfect environment to like get by in. You know what I mean? But it's just such an interesting phenomenon of just the marketing factor, and people think, it'll work for me, and I don't know, just caught on that tangent for the moment. So
well, it's the marketing is also the media picks it up, and when the media picks something up as though it's just because it's being marketed as turnkey, simple, it's a solution now. Now they're it's really balding as an option. It's not a fucking option. Sadly, right. It's something that we are saddled with, and there are ways to slow the progression of your hair loss. You can get a great hair transplant. You can even wear a great hair piece if you're willing to do that. So there are options out there, but none of them are great, and none of them are 100% foolproof. That's just the way that it is. They haven't figured it out yet.
It's crazy. I mean, I'm wondering pre-social media what the percentage of people who were having transplants was, compared to, I mean, now it's out of control. I can only imagine it was like half of what it is now.
It's a fraction. The industry was nothing. When I got into this field, it was so small. I think there were 250 members of the International Society of Hair Restoration Surgery. It was just it was the Wild West, and it was a really bad and ugly place. But there were far fewer surgeries being performed, so there's far less walking wounded and far less people just having their lives destroyed. Now it's just run amok.
Yeah. I mean, I think back then the impression was, it was like a pluggy look, and it was fucking super expensive. And so that's why it seemed like such a turnoff. And now with social media and everything else, it's like, it can happen to you. The miracle can happen,
Well, now they make it out as though they've solved the issue. Now, the truth of the matter is, state-of-the-art hair...
Can happen for some, but yeah.
Well, but state-of-the-art hair transplantation, I believe, really reached a logical endpoint about 9 years ago. And there have been some minor improvements in the last decade. When it comes to maybe holding solutions, some instrumentation, things of that nature. But the reality is the results that we're seeing consistently today are far worse than what we were seeing consistently 10 years ago.
Insane.
Agree 100%. 100%. The industry itself has devolved. It is a less advanced industry today than it was 10 years ago.
How is that possible? I mean, I know how it's possible with social media and everything. It's crazy.
Greed.
Yeah.
Money. That's it. That's it.
But how do you even take a guy like the Try guy, and this doctor sees the guy, and he's like, I can do this. Yeah, I mean, it's so. I just don't get it.
I'm going to let Joe speak in a second. I'm going to be completely...
Even if the guy gets a free surgery or promotion, he still looks at this guy, knows the potential possibly for how much hair loss where he's heading, and he's new at it still, I guess it seems, and it's the whole,
He might not know the potential. That's just it. He might actually believe 100% that he's doing the right thing.
Crazy. The doctor, you mean, right?
I have to assume that this doctor that did this procedure has no experience with strip surgery and is fairly new to the game, like in the past few years. So if that's the case, then there's no reason for him. I mean, he really, has no experience to base this on for, what a long-term result will look like in a case like Zach from the Try Guys. Like this kid, you saw the video. Like you saw where I paused the video. This kid's a Norwood 6 in the making.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Easy.
Probably more. Yeah.
Maybe more.
He has retrograde alopecia, in my view.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is not a candidate as, again, I'm not a physician, but as an expert in this field who's been doing this for well over 20 some odd years, this kid was not a candidate for any type of hair transplant surgery, let alone robotic hair transplant surgery, let alone robotic hair transplant surgery performed by people who are relatively new in the game.
Fucking nuts. This twisted shit, huh?
And I can guarantee you that I can guarantee you, well, I'm not going to guarantee you, but it is my estimation that machine was loaded with the biggest possible punch made that they currently use to make it easy to remove the grafts.
That's something I didn't think about. That's very possible. And even the small punch is a big punch.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick, I need to address something that Mordy said in the chat room. He said he rewound the broadcast to look at me rotating my head, and he says the crown is, in all caps, very visible. Hope it's not shock loss. Mordy, it's not shock loss. That's my crown. Like that is the reality of my crown. It's thin as fuck. For everyone else watching, I'm going to turn around one more time so you can see. We'll get closer to the camera. It is thin. It is very thin. That's why this is a perfect example of why the crown is known as the black hole for grafts, because it takes just as many. This is my own formulation. It takes just as many grafts to fill in the crown to get coverage that would be visibly equal to what you'd get for the front and the mid scalp combined. It takes a lot of hair to get that done. My crown represents, off the top of my head, maybe 2,500 grafts, including maybe closer to 3,000, including what I had done, but it's shaved down, or like it's really short. The reason why it doesn't look this thin when it's grown out is because each and every one of the hairs in my crown is a terminal hair. It's thick. It's coarser than a miniaturized hair. So once it grows out, the coverage is a lot stronger than someone that is actually thinning with miniaturized hair. So that's why it looks so much different when it's fuller. Just like the top. If and when I buzz this a lot shorter, I will look completely different. I won't look like I just got a buzz cut. I'll look like I lost all my hair. And it'll look like really bad, like a telogen effluvium or something. But in reality, it's exactly the same. Every hair that you see now will be there when it's nice and short. It's just it's not long enough to cover anything. So my crown has experienced, from what I understand, almost no shock loss. I mean, I haven't noticed any at all, and I've been monitoring it. In fact, the new grafts that I have started growing 2 weeks ago. Early grower, just like every time I've had a hair transplant. And it is the reality of what you get in the crown or anywhere in your scalp, even with a lot of hair. I've had more hair moved than most people on the planet, and my crown is still really thin. All my scalp is really thin when I get my hair buzzed. So that's another reason why this is an illusion.
Yeah.
Like there's no such thing as achieving true density for an entire scalp. Mathematically, it's not physical. It is not possible. Because I've lost more hair on top of my head than I have in my entire donor area.
I like what you say, Joe.
Keep that in mind, Mordy, when and if you decide to pull the trigger on surgery, because your crown is just as big as mine, and so if you're going to get the crown addressed, be really careful, because this, my friend, is the best that anyone can expect for a crown this size. I mean, it's just a fact. So I needed to address that because I thought it was important. Sorry about that. Continue.
No, that's why I like what you said a couple of weeks ago, Joe, about people should be really focusing, if they're going to be going for pulling the trigger, to focus on not the home run picks. No one should be really depending on picks anyway, but like the nice, most modest results, like getting to second base as opposed to a home run, And that's why I think I even mentioned one of Dr. Cooley's last videos. I still had plenty of hair loss, but it was a nice, normal look. You know what I mean? That's key, because crown's impossible. And
there's actually a video coming out by. There's actually a video coming out by Dr. Ball. I was given a preview of it recently. It should be out later on this week, I think. It was a guy in his early 60s, Norwood 5A, and he had 3,000 grafts. Now, normally that would be like the general rule of thumb is at least 1,000 to 1,500 grafts per Norwood level, but he did 3,000 grafts. And let me tell you something. This result blew my mind only because it looks like he never lost. It looks like he never had a hair transplant. It just looks like he's naturally receding. It's a really high hairline, really high, higher than mine, if that's even possible, and but really nice, gentle. We'll call it gentle coverage on the top, and it blends into the crown. And because Norwood 5As aren't bald in the crown, it blends into the crown beautifully. It's probably one of the best hair transplants I've ever seen in my life, because I would never pick this out as a hair transplant. It's high, it's thin in the mid scalp on back, but he dense packed the forelock, and he blended the hairline into the sides really high up with a nice curvature. It's beautiful, and it's one of those times when I look at a result, I'm just like, God damn it, the guy knows what the hell he's doing. Really impressive. I can't wait till it comes out, because this guy is so talented, and it speaks to what you're talking about, where you don't have to look like you got a full head of hair again.
Yeah.
It's just as long as you got coverage and you don't look like you're bald anymore, and it looks like you didn't have a surgery to get where you are, then you win. Too many people are obsessed like this idiot that was fucking rubbed me wrong. This kid, 23 years old, saying, if you got anything negative to say, just don't say anything. It's like, fuck you, kid. It's like, you need to fucking wake up.
Right. And I get why I think maybe you guys or Spence had maybe held off on posting the Dr. Z's large number FUE. You know what I mean? It's like, it shouldn't be about that, because then everyone's going to be drawn to that and jump into it. Say, I got to get him up for surgery. You know what I mean? And as good as the results are.
Well, here's the thing. I
got to chill out a little bit.
I did do an interview with him, and it was hard to do the interview because the English isn't great. And I had his patient on when we were in Manchester at FUE Europe. And I'm kind of holding off on it because the results are really stunning in person. Yeah. And, even in the video, even though the communication wasn't terrific, people are still going to see it, and they're going to be like, holy shit. Right. Now, this is not something that can be done with every patient. This is not something that could be done every time. These are home runs. But this guy has the skill set and the dedication, the wherewithal, and the time, on tissue to make it happen. And he's doing it pretty consistently. So, yeah, I mean, my concern is just that. We brought him on as an associate member to the IHS because he is really doing great work, but we don't want people to be misled.
Exactly. Cool. Well, I was just saying hi, guys. I know you probably have the board lit, or maybe not, but I'll bug you guys again. Thought I'd chill out from calling a little bit, and I don't know.
Dude, always call. Whenever you want to call, pick up the phone. Don't chill out from calling. You're not bothering us. We love hearing from you.
Cool. I appreciate it.
All right,
all right. I'll talk to you guys soon, and keep doing what you're doing.
We're gonna keep it up.
You got it.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, boys. Take care.
Guys, and I apologize if I've been distracted. I was trying to do Instagram, jerry-rigging this thing. Phone turned around. I'm texting multiple people while we're doing the program. what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find a solution where I can get the feed into Instagram without having to worry about it. Because it's very difficult to do. And it's a pain in the ass. Or I may just go live on Instagram when we are not doing the program, so that I can just concentrate on that. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, man, you're on the air. What's happening?
You hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Well, on the call-in, I've never called in before. It's just I hear you guys in the background, and that's it. So do the whole last call. So, anyways, name is Steve. I was looking to see. First question was in Arizona, and thinking about doing a transplant maybe next year. But surgeons in Arizona, you guys would recommend just to research and all that kind of stuff.
All right, now explain. You're thinking about having a hair transplant next year. What does that mean? How far are you at this point in your research? How long have you been dealing with hair loss? What's your situation?
Gotcha. Cool. Okay, so 36. Been dealing with it since 2021. Noticed the first little bit going. Been on minoxidil for about 2 years. Okay, actual results. Better than I thought I was going to get. Now, whether it holds or not, I know that, statistically it doesn't over time, and it probably won't. But it hasn't been too bad. Now, some of it is because you put the damn minoxidil in, and then when it dries, you kind of frizz it out and makes it look thicker, too. So some of it is an illusion. But it hasn't worked. It actually has regrown, especially in the crown area. And it's kept. But I would say where I'm at, it's like a NW2+, with some general thinning. I wouldn't call it diffuse, but if you looked at the hairline, it's trash. But if you filled it in where it's at, like if it was filled in, so I could, if I wanted to, take a picture, put that shoe polish on my head or whatever, and take a picture from far away, it would look okay. Like it would look like a mature hairline, for a guy my age. It wouldn't look bad.
Okay.
But if I slicked it back, it's no good. It looks pretty rough. But if it's one of those deals where if I just kind of gently style it forward and not pulling it forward, but just gently, no product in it, just the minoxidil when it dries, it actually looks fairly reasonable. I mean, it's hard to say over the phone. I could send you guys, picture later, Joe, and you would see exactly what I'm talking about. But so yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those deals where it looks okay, but I can't style it anymore. I have no hairstyles I can do.
So with the hair that you have now, like the shape hair, the shape design, whatever you want to call it, if it were thicker, would you be happy?
I would be okay with it.
Like you're not actually
I would
looking to reshape it?
I'd be fine. If it was 10 years ago, maybe I want a little lower hairline. But now, I think it looks further back, like in the mind's eye, because when you look at it, you automatically know the hair's not healthy. It's miniaturized. It's thinning in those, especially in the corners and even a little bit in the front, the forelock area or whatever. And so you think of it further back than what it is. But if it were thick, like if I do, which is only a couple of times, wear that nonsense topic and spray it in there, which it looks silly, especially in person. It looks like you just, climbed up a chimney. But in a picture, it looks good. It looks pretty good, and that would be an acceptable hairline. So I would be okay with it. And I know, yeah, go ahead.
Did you say earlier that you have been on medication of some sort, finasteride or minoxidil or both?
Only minoxidil for a couple of years. Now, I had gone to the doctor. I don't know why I hadn't addressed it. I knew I should have, a long time ago. But I've been going to the doctor, and I'm trying to get on finasteride now. And even like this was after, put minoxidil in the morning, I frizz it out. I mean, you guys say, especially Spencer, I hate minoxidil. I actually don't mind it that much, and purely because when I put it in my hair, just a regular dropper, when I frizz it out, when it dries, it actually makes it look way thicker without it really being greasy. And I'm okay with it. But anyways, I mean, besides that, I've been trying to get on finasteride. The nurse gives me, it doesn't look bad and all this stuff. it's not that bad. You know, I send guys younger. I'm like, you're looking at it through a lens of, yeah, for 36, it's not bad. It looks decent. You can have it a certain way to where it looks okay. I'm like, but if I pull the old hood back, I'm like, it doesn't look right. She's like, well, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, too bad. I'm looking for, it looks good to me, you know? And so now they did a blood test, you know, check my testosterone, you know, because it affects the prostate, and check the levels and everything. And so I'm going through that now. So I'm assuming that as of next week, I will be able to get a referral to derm, and then they'll give it to me. I mean, it's pretty benign for the most part.
Where the hell?
And,
where are you, Canada?
Yeah, where do you live? Are you like in the United Kingdom?
Referral. You don't need a
What's that?
referral.
I know I don't, but this damn doctor's office, they don't want to give me anything. It says, they have a big sign, and I'll switch doctors, but they have a big sign. We don't prescribe any medication. So what they will do, they'll do the test. And then
Jesus, dude, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Totally
Go to
wasting-
another.
Well, I got to go to
no,
my GP, and then they're going to refer me to a dermatologist, and 6 years later, I'll be able to get my appointment so I can get finasteride.
Call a hair.
Exactly, but
you know, you do. You go to a hair. Go to a hair transplant
It hasn't-
doctor that gives you a free consultation and get a fucking script
Right.
for Propecia.
I get the script, but
Yeah.
I already did it. So I'm like, I just asked them this last time, and so they took the blood right there. And so what? Another week or two, I'm fine with waiting another week or two. It's whatever. And I
Well,
figured
at least you'll have your baseline, your T levels and stuff in case you want to start juicing. You'll know you know.
Well,
you'll have a
but
baseline.
but that's no shitting too, because I was going to say, oh, you know, I'm 36, I'm getting old, I'm feeling tired. You know, everybody else is on TRT, so I was like, I wasn't going to take TRT. I've never taken anything, so I wasn't going to take TRT unless I was on finasteride. I was going to press my luck with with the hair I've got left, which is actually not bad.
I'm sorry,
And I
man.
figured-
I'm like, I think sometimes to myself, like yesterday, for whatever reason, I was feeling really tired, and I had to train, and it was late. It was already like after 7 o'clock. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I drank some coffee, even though I thought it may keep me up. I got to the gym. I did my workout. It felt really good. I was energized. I think about, because everybody is on. First of all, it's important that all of you know that the term low T was created by a marketing firm. It is a
marketing.
It is a marketing term, and your testosterone levels, you know, they range greatly. Normal levels range greatly as an adult. Anytime, most guys over the age of 36 or 37, I will tell you that if you go into an anti-aging specialist, they will tell you that you have low T, period. There's a lot of reasons why you could be feeling
That's what I'm
tired.
counting on.
Say that again?
I said that's what I'm counting on. I know all about it. I've been working out. I've been in the game for many years. I've never taken. I can anytime I want to. Obviously, just like anybody can. I do know people and all that. But I don't even want to take, let's say, what most people will take, where you see a bunch of 60-year-old guys walking around shredded to the bone when they were fat 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And telling you how hard they worked to get there now. And they changed their diet and changed their life. It's like the drugs were made to where if you take enough of them, you will look essentially whatever way you want to by sitting on the couch. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to wear your joints out. You don't have to waste your time going to the gym, all the other kind of stuff. That's only going to give you a little bit on top.
Right. Well, you just diet and just even body weight exercise. If you're on the right medication, and I say medication loosely, you are going to be jacked. You're going to be jacked.
Yeah, I mean, even now, like not, tooting any horns here, I'm not in extra special shape, but pretty good. Like 5'10", about 175, maybe like 11% body fat. See some abs and look pretty good, pretty vascular.
I
So
think you
not
called it to
bad.
brag. You just called in to brag.
I do want to brag too. Now that you mention it, that's why I did it. But I do want to do the finasteride and get on it for whenever that happens, right? Another year or two, and get on it, and then stay on it like you guys have, said, and like I've heard, 8 months to a year. See where I'm at then. Get the hair strong, just in case I do it and I get shock loss, all that kind of stuff. And go from there. If I get extremely lucky, which is doubtful, but if I get extremely lucky, maybe it'll look reasonable to where I don't want to. I'm fully prepared to get one. It's not a huge deal as long as I do the research and I get somebody that has got a good reputation. Obviously, there could still be goof ups. Obviously, it could not turn out correctly. But
I think that you got to overall healthy approach to this. I think that your first step is to stay the course as far as getting your finasteride. See how that works out for you, because if you got enough hair that's miniaturizing in the front, that may thicken up. I have to tell you, I've been seeing some impressive results with some clinics with their PRP and hairline thickening. I saw a result from Dr. Rocha. I think he shared it maybe 2 weeks ago. I remember thinking, oh my God, that's a PRP hairline. Holy shit. Like, how does that even happen? And I've seen several of those from Dr. Cooley, who is using PRP and then Regenera stem cell treatment to the procedure, or adding that to the procedure. It's the same thing being done by that clinic in the UK that just got all the press for stem cell hair restoration. It's not stem cell hair restoration, but it's similar. But he's using the same procedure. He's been doing it for a couple of years now, and it works really. Like, some of the hairlines that have been thickened with this are amazing. So I think it's really like people that are not bald, and traditionally, like for years, if their hairline's miniaturizing, for years it's been, medication, cross your fingers, and if that at least hold your hair from getting worse, then you can start researching hair transplant surgery. With PRP now in the right hands, surgery is pushed further to the back because PRP can be effective. It can be effective to the point where you're like, I don't need surgery. So, give finasteride a try. I think that, I'm not a physician. Everyone that listens on a regular basis knows this, but I think I think that you're setting yourself up for a proper build-up to a solution that might not be surgery. So finasteride is your base, which should be everyone's base before they do anything. And then after you've had enough time with that, 6 months minimum, then consider PRP with the clinic that's got demonstrated success, consistent results, as consistent as they can be, and see how that works out for you. And in the end, after a couple of years, maybe surgery will be the right move for you. But that's also the one that has the biggest potential downside as you're learning.
Yeah, and I have thought about that at first, just like everybody else and they actually, some of them just live that way. They don't do any research. A lot of people, they just kind of, jump feet first and say, fuck it, and just go for it. And they go straight to Turkey or straight to wherever, or just pick a clinic because it was close to them. Oh, it's only 20 minutes away. I don't feel like waiting. And they go, especially the Turkey option, and they get, it looks like my daughter's, the front of her baby alive, hair is just like plugged right in there, 3, 4, 5 grafts in the front. And
in 2020.
Yeah, and
2019.
What
year is it?
It was only $2,500. Yeah, but it looks like shit. You know what I mean?
No, of course. That's the whole thing. We're going backwards in hair transplant history. I've never.
Right?
I have never. I could have never imagined this. Well, actually, that's not true. I called it. I called it 9 years ago, or 8 years ago, on the air. I basically said that this industry is going to go backwards, and that's exactly what happened. But it's
right.
bad,
I mean,
man.
if I had Joe's hairline, like the thickness of it, how it looks natural and it looks pretty damn good, and you're not even fucking around. That thing is like pulled off to the side. You're showing that. Speaking of showing off, you're showing it, man.
Yeah.
Like me, that ain't gonna happen. And I have done. And everybody says when you're losing your hair, like they, and I don't even care. I tell anybody who wants to hear it from anybody who will listen. So, and I don't even care. I've heard it all. Oh, be a man, shave your head, Jason. All this stupid fucking bullshit, and part of the language. And so I've heard it all, and I've done because I didn't give a shit. I've done the experiments. I was younger. Like my hair got to this point. I mean, it might be a cunt hair worse than it was 7 or 8 years ago when I was in my late 20s. At 36, you know, the expectation's a lot less. So with this hair, it's okay. People look at it, oh, it looks good, you know. If you got a couple of wrinkles on your face, oh, you look great. You know, you could still be a real handsome guy in your 20s, and you're going after girls that say they're 23, 24. I've tried it before. The online, in the bars, whatever it was. If I was hat guy, oh, man, I was doing fine. I'll brag about that all day. If I was hair just kind of forwardish, but, you know, covering it up, I looked fine. If I was hair pulled back, that's all people would do was stare at the hair pulled back, and the girls would look at it. The first thing they would do, I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Steve," and they would be looking right at my hairline. I'd be like, "See, you know what I mean?" In my mind, I'm like, this is what it is. Like, and so people could say that
Steve,
all they want, when they don't get it.
They could say it all they want, but there's a reason why I've been behind this microphone for 21 goddamn years, is because what you're saying is true. I know it.
100%.
It happened to me. You know, I am now a man of a certain age, so it's almost like if you get to a certain point and you save enough hair, even if it's a little weird, you still win. So now, because I'm open about it, obviously, this is what I do for a living, she could be 24 years old, 28 years old. They don't give a shit because they kind of expect your hair to be a little fucked up at 54. You know?
Right.
So that's kind of...
Yeah, and like I was saying before, when I was 28, compared to 36, it's almost the same. In fact, I had a little more then, but we're talking about just a little tiny bit. I thought I was going to be bald by now. Everybody in my family is pretty much bald. I thought, you know, my hairline was going to take a dirt nap years ago. But for some reason, it hung on.
Where are you located, man?
Arizona.
Arizona, okay.
Yeah, and
you sound like a little bit. You sound like you don't have a New York accent, but you sound like a New Yorker, just the way you express yourself.
I am from New York originally, but I haven't been there since I was a kid.
Okay, well there you go. It sticks with you, man.
Yeah, there's probably, you know, people in the family or whatever, probably, but either way. So now, back then, and even if I had, like, you know, the hair was combed right kind of deal, people would still comment. Even my grandma would comment. She'd say, "Oh, you need to kind of like move that hair over the side. You're looking like you're a little thin." Now
Isn't
that
that
I'm
amazing?
Right? And my grandma's being honest though, so you know. But now at 36, you know, my grandma in the same hair, in the same position. "Oh, you're doing pretty good with your hair. I didn't think you were going to have it this long."
Yeah.
And you know, it's the expectations are different. Just like you said, at 54.
What happens if you said, "Hey,
do going on?"
Yeah,
but that's good for 54.
That's
you know?
True. That's true. That's fucked up though that you just said that, but yeah, it's true. But you know, like, but imagine if you went to your grandmother and said, "Man, look at you, you're falling apart, lady. Look at you."
No, come on, you can't. Yeah, well, we don't have to. You know how it is. You say anything to a woman of any age.
But exactly, a woman of any age. What
yeah.
about you know, like this is the last. And I'm being serious. It's the last bastion of political incorrectness. I mean, imagine if. I mean, do you have a sister?
Yeah.
Okay. Would your grandmother call your sister fat?
No.
Okay. There you go.
Not for, and I know where you're going. Not for fear of backlash, but just I wouldn't want to hurt her feelings. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I'm saying you wouldn't. I'm saying, but would your grandmother call your sister fat?
But she's a different case. She might, if she asked. But I know where you're going with it.
Yeah.
You could say anything you want to a guy. Like, if a guy's bald, you could openly make jokes about it.
Yeah.
You know, you could, and it doesn't matter. You can make bald jokes. "Oh, why don't you take that fucking hat off? Who do you think you're fooling? Well, why don't you not wear that push-up bra? Who do you think you're fooling? Why don't you take those pumps off? Who do you think you're fooling? Why don't you take all that clown makeup off? Who do you think you're fooling?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What about that little, the extensions you're wearing because your hair doesn't grow long enough anymore because you got a little, who do you fuck you think you're fooling?
You try to meet one woman that looked at your hairline at that bar in that moment that wasn't wearing concealer under her eyes to conceal whatever, you know, dark circles or whatever. I mean, from the age of 15, these women are wearing a fucking disguise. It's just the way that it is.
Maybe younger.
Maybe younger.
Right? Yeah, and even at that age, another word, disguise. You know what I mean? Usually they don't even have. But yeah, that is the way it is. Women will say, "Oh, you know," and other guys. The only guys who will really say, "Oh, well, you don't have to worry about your hair and all this kind of nonsense," is guys with all their fucking hair.
That's right.
A, or B, and this is maybe, guys who lost it really young, who used to buzz their hair anyway when they were teenagers or keep it real short, and they lost it when maybe they were 20, and they got a good head for it and the good facial features for it, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And then they say, "Oh, you know, I don't know why you're worried, but I shaved my hair when I was 21. I started to lose it." Well, yeah, now you're 30-something years old. You're used to it. You lost it early. You told me you were shaving it pretty much anyway in a short crew cut, you know, when you were a kid all the way till you were 20, and then you finally lost that little bit that you used to, you know, have, I guess, frame in your face. But some people just look like, I would look like I'd be mortified with no hair.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I get it.
And it wouldn't look good on me.
No.
And that's, and you are right. You know, it is the last area where, I mean, but in reality, any guy is going to get that. Like, I don't, and that was another question I wanted to ask you and Joe was, I have it a little bit. It isn't anything crazy. You know, I got it, you know, through puberty, and even when I'm real lean, it's there a touch. Gynecomastia.
Okay.
I got a little tiny bit. Now, there's another one, too. You can call a guy, they don't say it to me because it's not that bad, but you can call a guy bitch tits all fucking day long.
Oh, yeah.
But if you tell a girl she's got lunch lady arms,
right.
You know what I mean, then, you know, go crazy over it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
lunch lady arms.
You are body shaming them, dude.
Yeah, and for me, I'm not getting body shamed. I should be a man, fucking nut up, you know what I mean? You know, why are you so sensitive? If you say even just in retort to them,
they can call you They can call you micropene. They can call you baldy.
Oh, yeah.
It's all, you know, it's all open. You
It's
know?
all friggin'.
It's all.
I mean, I'm only 5'10", so I don't get the short. But I look at guys who are 5'5", 5'6", maybe even 5'7". That's like the death knell.
Yeah.
Like, well, girls laugh at them as they, oh, he thought I was going to talk to him. You know what I mean? And like to save face with their friends, even if they did kind of like the guy. You know, that's like the that's like a 2.5 strikes. You're like way
I feel bad. Yeah,
I
feel bad for short guys. I'd rather be tall and bald than short and a full head of hair. Like that's one of the most difficult things to overcome. Now, having said that, I know several guys that are short, and they have scored big, like married beautiful women and succeeded, you know, completely succeeded in life. But I got to tell you, it took balls for them to come out of their shells and to do what they did. A lot of guys, it doesn't bother them, but I think in general, I think that that's one of the toughest things out there is being short.
Yeah, and I think all things being equal, you're really behind the 8 ball. If you're 5'7" and under, I think, you can make up for it. A full head of hair. You're a super handsome guy anyway. You're making money. Yeah. You're in shape. You're outgoing and confident. But you're talking about, you're like 10s on all the different scales to make up kind of for being 5'7".
Yeah.
Whereas you could be 7s on 6s on the other ones. But if you were 6'2", and even if you had a bald head and you had a nice full beard, and you weren't too horrendous looking, you'd be fine. But the one question I had about the finasteride, I don't know if you guys know if there's any link to it. Someone like me who already has a bit of gynecomastia, so obviously there's susceptibility to it. And I know that it's a very small chance of getting that on finasteride. Is there an increased chance because of that predisposed position that I do have in having a little bit of it?
Well, I mean, when you say predisposed, I mean, you were predisposed at puberty for whatever reason. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, if you put something into your body now, that it's going to cause you to have gyno or more gyno. I mean, we're not physicians. You can talk to your doctor about it, but I mean, I don't think that necessarily makes you predisposed to gyno later in life from medication.
Yeah, this is all anecdotal.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to talk to my doctor about it. They don't know shit. I mean, what they said with that stupid nurse said to me when I said, you got to look at the hairs and the miniaturize and all that. Oh, no. You don't look for that when you're looking for balding. Like I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You don't look for that when you're looking for balding. You look for holes in the hair. I'm like, you got holes in your head.
Jesus
you know what I mean?
Christ.
Like, are you kidding me?
I would have just. You should have just walked out of that place, man.
Yeah, I mean, I got the testosterone results coming in. I get it. I could also get it from my friend. He gets a huge surplus of it because they gave him the 5 milligram prescription. He cuts it up with the pill cutter, so he's got so much extra.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to, whatever, do it this way. But we'll see. If I don't get it in the next couple of weeks, I'll go down to the, somewhere and get it. But yeah. So that was just my question. Joe? Did you see anything anecdotally about the finasteride and the because I'm not really one of these. I'm not really a freak about worrying about side effects. If I feel something, I'll get off of it. But just anecdotally, have you heard about that at all in the years and passing?
I didn't get your full question. Did I?
Oh, it was going back to the finasteride with the gyno, like pre-existing.
Oh, sorry. Did I have that, or have I heard of it?
Have you heard it in years in passing? Like somebody said, "Oh, I had it a little bit, and I started feeling it." Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. I have, dude. I have. Well, I can't say I've talked to people that have been through every possible side effect you can imagine, because I'm sure there's a couple out there that we haven't heard about yet. But yeah, I can't remember how many, but a healthy handful of people in my clinical history have had varying degrees of gyno. I remember one patient, I felt so bad for him. He did have not just gyno, but he went and had went to have his glands removed because it was an issue that wasn't going away. It really, it did wonders for his hair. Let me tell you something. Like, his hair was returned to about as close as you can get to being a full head of hair as possible. But he developed gyno, and he was forced to face the issue of hair and boobs, or no hair, no boobs. And he chose hair and boobs, and then went and had the glands removed.
Hair and boobs, man.
Hair and
boobs.
That might be a good option if it did. 'Cause I mean, that would probably cost $5-6 grand to do that, and then you're looking at even just a nice, let's say if I needed a FUT, a nice small. I mean, it's still going to cost me that much. So if it came down to that, I could see why he would do it. You know what I mean? Tough decision.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
He had surgery as well, or he had hair transplant surgery as well. But the procedure, I don't. It depends on where you go, but I don't think it would be that much. I mean, it's an outpatient procedure, and it's pretty quick in general. I mean, you're in and out. But things like that, I mean,
the thing is that you have to make sure the gyno's stable. Right, so the glands have to be formed. The fat in the gland has to be formed. If you continue to take the drug, if you continue to have pain, that can mean that they can grow. So you can't just get an operation, and then you're going to have more tissue growing. So it has to be something where it's stabilized. And again, I'm not a doctor, but yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, it's not as cut and dry as you make it, Joe, because there are guys who have gyno surgery now. And essentially, just the way that they do it, which I don't know if you know how they do it, Steve, but they use a combination of they cut around your nipple, they remove as much of the hard fatty tissue as possible, and then they may do some lipo as well. Sometimes it leaves dents, sometimes it leaves like an inverted type of a nipple situation. You really got to go to somebody who does this on a regular basis, and that's really part of their specialty. And there are actually some doctors out there that are like
research type thing.
Yeah, that work on bodybuilders specifically with, drug-induced bitch tits.
Yeah, massive. Yeah. Mine's like it's a little, but not much. I have thought about it, not extensively. I mean, if it got worse, I would do it, but maybe one day. But And if it gets worse, I'll certainly, have to. But if I feel any, feeling there, I'll back off on it and just kind of, rethink the strategy. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not like a big time, I'm not really afraid of side effects too much. Not like these goddamn hair loss forums. Like, I'm going to tell you, and I'm sure you guys know all about it, of course, but when I first was researching, like, just getting into it, and I knew the basics and common sense, but I went to this, you want me to name, is it okay to name a forum? I don't even want to plug them.
Don't plug anybody that's bad.
A bad one, okay?
Yeah, you go plug good ones.
And you go on there, and they're talking about, like you guys have said, all the stuff from 20 years ago, like praying it's going to work, like that RU thing, the derma rolling, to this.
RU 584441, derma rolling.
Mixing minoxidil with retin A and whatever else they can find around the house, Pine Sol, whatever the fuck they're putting in there, putting it on their head. I mean, yeah, like.
But you know what's funny about the forums? There's always one or two like lead bro science guys that everyone looks to for advice and for information, and these guys find their place behind that screen and spend hours a day pontificating and putting up their, their protocols. What was that?
Their kitchen sink science.
Their kitchen sink science with all of their references to every fucking crazy study they can find. And these guys are looked at and revered as God. There's this weird sense of like hierarchy in the forum world, which I would
fools by me right away.
Yeah, I would look at it. And I just have to, and I've been doing this forever, and I'd be like, this is the funniest fucking thing and saddest thing at the same time that I've ever witnessed.
I'll tell you what I think is hilariously sad is when these guys would get into symbolic screaming matches and get into these brutal verbal fights all about future treatments which don't exist.
I'd link to that.
They would call each other names.
It's coming in 2022. The cure.
Oh, dude, I would
agree with it. And like the gloves would come off and it'd just be just the most brutal language and cut down.
This is not my night. My disk space just I can't record the rest.
Yeah,
of the
I mean, you go on there, and honestly, most of what it's about, if you looked up finasteride and just for mere humor purposes, because I wasn't taking any of their silly words for it, all you hear is these scary little basement dwellers talking about, is there any side? Anybody have sides? And everybody comes in. You would think it's like 75% of people on the finasteride are getting. You would think they're all getting sides. 75% of them all gave me minoxidil. I got huge black, like a raccoon eyes, and it made me have wrinkles in my forehead after 9 years. I'm like, motherfucker, it's been 9 years. You got older. Of course you got more wrinkles in your forehead. And the other one, I couldn't get it up like you ever need to in your mom's basement. You know what I mean? Like, watch. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Many people.
I have
been
defamed. I have been called names on my own message form. I have been like, I mean, these guys have gone out of their fucking minds because, they truly believe that I, on a personal level, was somehow trying to ensure that this information didn't get out for public consumption because I just wanted to sell hair transplants or some other bullshit, or I was a Merck shill or whatever. And you just have to sit back and watch this stuff and you just realize, I understand the desperateness of these kids.
Yeah.
And I understand, what hair loss does to a person. But God, I've never encountered so many irrational people in kind of one sphere of this universe.
They all found each other, and it's one of those deals where they think you, in particular, I never heard your name mentioned, but I'm sure if I looked for it, it was on there, that you're hiding the magic from them. The magic of the laser hat and the derma rolling and everything, and they're going to have all their hair back. Meanwhile, their NW5s with one little tiny forelock in the front. It's like, come on, man, it's over. You know, like you can do a massive transplant like Joe and hope you get lucky.
Yeah, I mean, there was a whole thing
like that.
6 or 7 years ago, and then prior to that, about Cohen Go in the Netherlands, that I was somehow trying to suppress that information. That I was so afraid that his technique would, be at the forefront, that I would lose all of my income from all the physicians in the IHRS. I'm thinking to myself, do you know how much more money I would make if that shit actually worked the way that he claimed that it worked?
Right.
It would be I'd be at a totally different level. This would be over. You know how many more people would be able to be successfully helped if there was actually, hair regeneration from this type of hair transplant? And
I know, man.
It's just the way that it is, man. We're dealing with conspiracy theorists and desperate people, and I feel bad.
Yeah, and well, I mean, a lot of the people are like I've heard you say that there's a lot of and you're including the surgeons, I'm guessing too. A lot of like sociopathic people, tend to gravitate towards this, where they're losing hair, or they're doing the transplants, or whatever it is. And I think some of that, yeah, sure, I'm sure there's some. I think a lot of these people, like when I said the basement joint, yeah, I'm joking about it, but I think a lot of that's true. I think there's a lot of personal, issues going on there. To where if it wasn't the hair, let's say if they had all their hair, it would have been something else.
Well, I think to some degree,
it on something else.
Listen, hair loss made me very unhappy and turned me into a different person as well. But what I was discussing when I talked about sociopaths was really the people that gravitate to the business of hair loss on just about every level, whether it's people who run certain message forums to and different sites, and to the physicians themselves. There are so many, and maybe you saw this on Instagram, or maybe you saw it wherever I posted it, but I interviewed this guy, Scott Alexander, in Arizona, in your neck of the woods, and I basically said, it's unbelievable to me that, how did so many potential, and again, I'm not a physician, but people with, who seem to express sociopathic behavior gravitate to one fucking industry. And he just said, I don't know, man, but there's a lot, or something like that. And that's the reality. I mean, when you go to these conferences and you speak to some of these doctors and you really know what's happening in their practices, I just look at them and I'm like, how do you even live with yourselves? And people are pinning their hopes and their dreams and their lives on these doctors. It's really a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I've heard you guys go over that, extensively, and I agree. I think with the hair thing, I think people do respond to it differently. I'm talking about those people on those sites. I really think I've heard a lot of them say some morose stuff like over and over and over again, and I can't, in my rational mind, think that level of depression and talking about everything else and connecting it somehow to hair just because they lost their hair. I mean, there's I'm sure a lot that goes into it with plenty of them.
Well, I mean, forum, at least our forum, it's a different place now. But years ago, there were a couple of guys. There's one famous guy in particular who took the forum to a new level. And I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. I don't want to put his name out there. He calls shit every once in a while. But it was, they were just, discussing things like, that it was essentially a crime against humanity to have children if you have the balding gene, and it just really.
You're on the track of the site that I was on for a little bit about how it would go. The headline of their post would be, I should just give up. Give me one reason to keep going.
Yeah.
And then it would be something about their hair, but then other stuff creeps in and starts talking about other things, not getting along with this one or that one or whatever it is. But I find it hard to believe that just magically give them their hair back and all of a sudden they're flying high and world's their oyster and all that shit. So.
Yeah. Well, they're all part of that like red pill, blue pill thing. What was that? What are those guys called?
Yeah,
MGTOW.
Yeah,
that's huge on there.
Yeah.
And now, me personally, stay away from like a lot of that. As far as like, I've really, been there, relationships and have a daughter and everything. So I do understand the concepts of it. You know what I mean?
Don't get me wrong. I get it. I absolutely get it. And I think there's a certain level of rationale. Let's put it that way. However, it's the guys that are just so absorbed by it, and they become almost misogynistic, and it's just it's a.
And I think a lot of that, I mean, because there is some truth to it, so they can hang on to that. But a lot of it comes from constant failure in that department.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you don't like things that aren't giving you any happiness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
You tend to try to leave things that are going to leave you first,
Yeah.
So I do get that, but yeah, there's plenty of that goes on, and which is one of the reasons why I would try to come in, in the rare time I would post and try to post some sort of post of reason, you know what I mean? And it was ill-gotten, to say the least. Nobody was listening to it, so I was like, okay, I see how it is. But no, I mean it is what it is. That's obviously another subject.
Forums are not for rational human beings.
No, not whatsoever.
I hate to say it. I have a message forum, and it's well trafficked, and it doesn't get the number of posts that it can get because everything goes into moderation for the most part, because there's a lot of that nonsense. If I just let the moderators, and I say, listen, open it up. Just open it up. The level of traffic would be insane. That's it.
You get a ton of that.
We just, it's all gone. As far as the gray market stuff, we had for a while. We just kind of experimented with it. It was like future treatment section, and it just exploded. And then we had to shut it down. And then when we shut that down, essentially, it was like people were going to other forums, and then there were other forum owners who were like, okay, well, Ball Truth Talk will censor you, so come over to our forum, or we have open arms, and you can talk about all this bullshit. And I'm just like, that's great, make, let it go, let it be on another forum, because the reality is, if someone finds the forum and they can read some decent information that might help to guide them in a good direction, that's terrific. But in general, I tell people to stay out the forums, and that's not in my best interest to do that. I think they are toxic places in general, and they're just bad. That's it. You know it.
Right. Everybody's seen them. Most of mine doings on there was just browsing, and I was immediately right away. All the gray market stuff I knew was silly nonsense. And even all the ramblings with the MGTOW stuff, I knew was pretty much the same. So
yeah, it's sad. Well, listen, Steve, we're gonna take some calls, but listen, don't. I know you're planning on having surgery. Don't rush into it. You can call us back, next week if you want to talk more. And you're a great caller, man, and I appreciate it. You seem like a very rational, reasonable dude. So we need more guys like you.
I never call any shows. This is the first time I've ever done it, so I was a little rambling on there. But the reason why I call is because both you guys, I say the same thing: rational, reasonable, and that's why I call, just for a little bit of advice. I know sight unseen, but just to
we got you fooled. Glad you believe it. So, thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate it.
All right, man. You take care. All right, call back.
All right, you too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
I will. All right. Bye.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. This is Bruce calling from Houston.
Bruce from Houston. What's happening?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, not much, guys. You know what? Since we're on I wanted to ask y'all, since we're on that topic tonight of finasteride and all that, I'm 53 now, so both you guys can help me with this answer, maybe help me define or explain it. The FDA, how everything you read from the Mayo Clinic to the FDA, they say how it can help with the BPH when you get old, especially because it's a concern at my age now, getting up at night, going to the restroom, that kind of thing. So I'm always worried about the prostate enlargements, but they say it can help reduce the risk of prostate cancer, and it's used for that. Besides the male pattern baldness, of course.
That was its original purpose.
No, the original purpose was not. I think you got confused. It was for BPH, not for prostate cancer.
Okay,
that's
BPH.
what I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it was originally intended for benign prostate hyperplasia as Proscar.
Okay. Well, but the contradiction that and that's why I want to ask y'all to define or explain it, where the FDA says, it can cause certain risk for, and these are the key words, high-grade prostate cancer.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that?
Well, there were 2 studies done. Actually, I think there were 3 or 4 studies done, and they were conflicting studies. There was one study that essentially showed that if you were found to have prostate cancer, you had a 25% greater chance of having more of a high-grade prostate cancer, meaning more advanced prostate cancer. And then another study was done that refuted that. And then another study was done that said, well, the reason why the first study was what it was is because the PSA levels were masked by finasteride. So by the time they found the cancer had already grown to a greater stage. From instead of stage 1, it was found at stage 3. It was a higher grade type of cancer. And then I think there was another study that refuted that. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. You can look that up.
So, right. So, Spence, that's where, I had down 2 on my notes, the blood work can mask the test results. So, is that,
Yeah, but now the American Cancer Society and most urological societies are now saying that they don't necessarily, they think that the PSA tests can be a kind of a risky test to take because there's a lot of, when those numbers are not necessarily skewed, but when the numbers are elevated, people are going in for unnecessary biopsies and unnecessary procedures, and some people, are having their prostates removed, and now it's not even recommended by most physicians to have a PSA. So, who the fuck knows?
Yeah, because I did have that biopsy done several years ago, and it was a very unpleasant experience. And they say if your numbers are, I think the recognized numbers now are 4.0 or lower, and I had it done a year ago and it was 1.8 on the PSA level. But, it's always a concern now. Because, see, my dad, he's 85 now, and, he could give a shit about what he eats or what he does now in life, but he had it, 25 years ago, and they cut him so bad that he was messed up for life. I remember him complaining about it years ago. But I know they, with their treatments nowadays, they're so more advanced with technology and all the treatments and stuff that they have. But, they cut him so bad, they messed him up when they removed, I don't know if they removed the whole entire prostate or what.
Well, I can tell you this. God forbid if you ever need a prostectomy or a prostatectomy, I would not advise you to go with any physician or hospital that uses a robot. I would certainly, I'm not a physician, I would advise you to go with someone who is a true expert in laparoscopic surgery, maybe proton therapy. You can speak to your doctor about this. These are things, for your future file if you ever need this. Don't let anyone talk you into the Da Vinci robot.
Right.
And what scares the shit out of me is that you're younger than me, dude, and we're talking about this stuff.
Well, no, but
I'm about to go to the bar after the show.
Yeah.
You're both older than me.
Yeah, but after so if the prostate don't get you, the liver will, is what you're saying.
Dude, this is how I look at it. My buddy just turned 54. His birthday was actually yesterday, and we were talking about life, and he was saying how he has to return this call, and he just doesn't feel like doing it. I'm like, dude, you're fucking 54 years old. You don't have to do shit that you don't want to do anymore.
That's right.
And that's how I feel about it. Everyone is like, we're so obsessed and consumed about what we're supposed to do, and the doctor's telling us to do this, and society's telling us to do this, and at this age we're supposed to be a certain way. It's all fucking bullshit, man. It's luck of the draw. It really is.
Yeah. it's all genetics too. Luck of the draw.
It's genetics.
Yeah.
Well, it's not all genetics though. It's genetics, and it's really how those genetics are expressed. I believe. Listen, I smoked for years, dude. I grew up in a household of smoke. There's a picture of my mother with me in her stomach with a Manhattan in one hand and a cigarette in the other. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I was in the gym yesterday. I was squatting a pretty significant amount of weight, and it takes, I don't know if you squat or, the guys who work out, the lung capacity that it takes to actually push that type of weight is immense. And I think to myself, how is that possible with what I've done to my body over the years? I mean, I don't smoke now, but it's some of it's genetics, but also some of it is how the genetics are expressed and how you've taken care of yourself in other ways.
Right. And you mentioned that about the smoking. Like, I had my cousin, he was 65, passed away last week at MD Anderson, the cancer hospital here in Houston. And but she had quit like 15 years ago. But she had still had a spot on her lung about 5 years ago. And ever since then, she had been under, the chemo radiation and all that. But I
got to hang up on you, dude.
Yeah.
I really, you're really bringing the room down. Jesus.
No, you're okay. I think the alcohol has killed anything that's tried to,
Well, I guess my point is this. I sometimes I sit in front of my laptop and I read things like how this plastic surgery website is now verifying physicians, and you read the verification, and you're just like, and I read this, it actually depresses me. I'm like it's never fucking ending. And then I just got to say, fuck it. I could be diagnosed with some shit tomorrow. What the fuck am I worried about? If people are stupid enough to fall for all this crap, then it's their problem. Life is too short. And life is too short to worry about, what may or may not happen. It's great to be as cautious as possible. But as far as taking this drug, just know that, I've been on it for over 2 decades. The doctor could barely find my prostate. So I'm your age. I'm older than you. I'm not getting up all the time to having to take a piss. So it's possible that by being on this medication, it has helped me in that area. So if that, it's, I'm a fan of it.
No, and when you get our age, I mean, of course, the hair is very important. But you tell these young guys, when they hit over that 50 mark, or even in their 60s, they, all these other things start coming into play too that you need to be concerned about. So it's not just going to be the hairline at that point; it's going to be other things, And but it's still very important. Don't get me wrong. It's just, and like you said, though, you just helped me feel better. You made me feel better about the whole situation, because at the end of the day, you can't, the stress, and if you worry about it, it's going to eat you up. So you just can't do that.
Dude, let me tell you something. My brother's 45 years old, running, going out for a jog, take care of his health. Boom, hit by a car, dead. That's it. Never coming back. That's just that's fucking life. So I do my best to live my life the best that I can, and to, there's a saying, which I can't remember because I lived my life too well this week, actually, or last week. But essentially it's, if you worry before it's time to worry, I wish I knew it because it's such a good one, man. Kamala told me this. But essentially, there's just no point in worrying before there's time to worry. It takes so much away from your life, and most people do that.
Yep.
Most people do that.
Yeah, you're right. Doesn't matter if it's work or money or you're right. Yeah, I agree.
Who the fuck knows what's going to happen though? You could lose your fucking job. Some shit could happen. All of a sudden, you're in the bathroom. You're like, what the fuck is this lump in my crotch? Bingo.
Right.
And then you're off to the races in 20 fucking hospitals, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? You decide not to have that pizza the night before. For whatever reason.
Right.
So listen, man, I hope the phone call helped you.
Oh, Oh, yeah, I did. And I appreciate it. Hey, Joe, and congratulations on your last procedure. And I still plan on either going to a roach or a Kiwi. And I'm retiring in a few years, so I need to get some touch-up stuff done.
Prostate, retiring. You're 53 years old, man.
I'm talking about 55, 56. Probably I'll be pulling the plug, so I'll be good.
And even the term pulling the plug, this guy is something.
I'm talking about pulling the plug on retirement, the old saying.
I hear you, man. Well, listen, good luck.
So anyway.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.
Thanks for the call. Take care.
Good hearing from you, Bruce.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
I'm going for the hard stuff tonight.
I'm depressed.
Well, I have to say, listen, this is reality. It really is. I was talking to my buddy, and it's reality. Shit happens. People fucking... I'm at a stage in my life, this is basically the third fucking act, man. That's it. This is the third act. I gotta enjoy myself.
This could have been much worse. My bike accident. I could have wound up with my head under a tire.
Yeah. You're damn right.
I didn't.
No.
So I'm going out again tonight.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to take one more call if it's short?
If it's short.
Okay. We'll take a quick call. Oh, now they all lit up. I said one more. There's one guy that we're going to take. Hey, man, you're on the air. Last call. Okay.
It's going to be short,
Who's
I
this?
promise you. And I thoroughly enjoy your show. I think you guys are the best show on radio or on the internet, which is where I listen to you. And
Thank you.
absolutely do a public service. So I'm going to make this short. I have spoken to you guys once before, and I have a couple questions. So I'll get right
what's
to
your name and where are you calling from?
My name. I apologize. My name is Mike, and I'm from New Jersey.
Okay.
So, I'm 60 years old, and my question, I actually think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, is I was on Propecia many, many, many years ago, and then when I went and saw Feller, I had a transplant done by Feller back in 2011. He said there's no need to stay on Propecia because all the hair on the top of your head is transplanted hair. I was, I guess, what he would have thought would have been a Norwood 6.
Bad move, my man.
And so I stopped Propecia, and I guess my question is, it's 60 years old and haven't been on it now in 8 years. Does it make sense for me to go back on Propecia?
Well, what's your situation? Have you progressed?
My situation is I have a head of transplanted hair.
Okay.
So does that help the hair that's been transplanted?
Have you noticed a change in your head of transplanted hair?
Not a big change. Not a big change in the last 6 or 7 years.
Well, then
I've got
if you don't need the
curly
medication,
hair. I've got a bald crown basically, but I've got hair in my hairline and my I don't know what you guys call behind the hairline, the
mid-anterior scalp.
Yeah. So, but I've always thought maybe I should be on Propecia. That would help or enhance what I have.
Well, here's my question. When you were on Propecia, were you having or experiencing any adverse side effects?
No, not that I noticed, no.
Okay. So the only reason you chose to get off Propecia is because you were told you don't need to be on Propecia.
Feller said everything on the top of your head is basically transplanted. It's going to stay there, and there's no reason to continue it.
Now, he didn't tell you that it's possible as you get older that the transplanted hair, just like if you look at older gentlemen and you look at their donor area, their donor wreath, you'll notice that as they age, that will usually thin out as well.
No way, he did not mention that to me. And maybe I've had some of that. That's possible because I look at pictures of myself now opposed to 8 or 9 years ago. There's clearly a slight difference in the appearance of the hair. But
yeah. Listen, I'm not a physician and I can't give you medical advice, but I think that was really bad advice.
Right. And Joe, most of your hair is transplanted, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Every bit of it.
Okay.
There's an area on the bottom half of my crown that is not. It's been transplanted in that area as well, but I still have some native hair that's been hanging on because of finasteride. I'll say this, though. It has been proven that donor hair is, in some patients, susceptible to DHT, as well as senile alopecia. The hair shaft diminishes in size with age. But DHT sensitivity exists in some people throughout their donor area, and with time, that hair that was in the donor region that is susceptible to DHT continues to be susceptible once it's transplanted, and can and does fall out over time.
Okay.
So there is that issue to be aware of. I think about my own case where, before I had so much work done, it was after my first repair procedure, where only the hairline to the vertex was covered. Dr. Wong pointed out that my donor hair looked better from a distance when he walked in when he comes in, he's walking in from behind me, and that was his first comment. Your donor hair looks stronger, and the crown looks slightly stronger as well. And ever since I started taking it, my donor hair has been generally stronger than it was in memory before I started using it. And I also have a bit of retrograde alopecia in the nape of my neck, and that as well has become stronger because of my use of finasteride. Now, the big question I have about you is, if you're a Norwood 6 and all the hair on top of your head is transplanted, you have a balding crown or bald crown, I believe you said. Tell me about the borderline region in the parietal regions of your scalp, like above your ears. Has that region above your ears where it meets the transplant, has that dropped? Have you seen a gap developing at all between the transplanted hair on top and the side of your scalp?
I don't think I have. If I have, if it has happened, I'm just not astute enough to notice it, or maybe I don't look close enough.
And things like that happen slowly enough to where it's difficult to just kind of look at it. You don't just wake up one day and go, "Oh, wow, that happened." It takes time.
The area that I'm trying to save, I put Rogaine on it every day. I had a consult with Dr. True a few years ago. Was the back of my scalp, I guess the area that's not the safe region right above it. He said you're going to lose it. So
that's interesting. I don't mean to interrupt you. So you had you had a consult with Dr. True after your transplant.
Yes, a couple of years ago, because I've been looking to possibly fill in behind my hairline just to strengthen or make it look a little thicker. So I saw Dr. True a couple of years ago.
Now, when you stopped using finasteride, did you still have the same area of hair loss in the crown, or was it smaller? Same diameter?
I think it was similar.
Okay.
Similar.
All right.
But Dr. True noticed that the area right above what you guys consider the safe zone was going to go bye-bye. So he said start putting some Rogaine on it, which I've been doing for the last couple of years. And I mean, it's still there, but it's it's clearly miniaturized, and it's less hardy than it was.
Well, you know what I would do? I would consider going back to Dr. True and ask him about finasteride and what he thinks.
Okay.
And
I guess my second question to you is, I listen to your show religiously. Not always the exact night you're doing it, but I always catch it the next day or whatever.
As you should.
I'm a big fan of you guys, and I think you guys are always looking out. You always have the best interest of your listening audience, which is what I appreciate. I hear very little about New Jersey and New York, about guys that you love. Now, and I know there's guys here you like, but it seems that, I hear a lot about Dr. Wong because clearly that's where Joe had his work done up in Vancouver, and I hear about Cooley, and I hear about, other people. And I don't expect you necessarily to answer this question, but if you're willing to, if you wanted to get some repair work done, and this is, I guess, specifically to Joe because, he's had work done. If you were specifically going to want to have some repair work done, and let's say you wanted to have your beard used, which I know you've done a little bit of, but that's where I'm at right now.
No, I've not done any beard. But
I thought you said you had.
Nope, it's okay.
Okay, I apologize. But if you were, who in New York or in New Jersey, if with a gun to your head, who would you go to? Or you will not answer that question.
I'd say pull the trigger.
I'm giving you it out because I don't necessarily expect you to answer the question, but I'm asking you
I
if
will
you're
answer the
willing
question,
to.
but maybe not with the answer you're looking for. There's no one I would go to right now, and the reason being is because I wouldn't know who to go to. And if I did know who to go to, I don't know if in order for me to know who to go to, I have to really dig deep into who they are, what they're doing, how they're doing it. Like the research that a patient does, like the best patient doing the research for the best result for them, take what they do and multiply it by 50, and that's the amount of research and discussion and investigation I do about that clinic before I speak about them publicly. And the reason being is this. People like you are listening to what I say. And when I talk about a clinic, I know that there will be people out there thinking, well, Joe talked well about this clinic, so they must be legit. I'm going to go to them. I don't want that responsibility. So I know that if I have someone on my website or if I talk about someone on my YouTube channel as being a part of what I do, I know that I can feel better knowing that at least I vetted them based on my own standards before people hear about it and they go and say, yeah, I heard about you from Joe Tillman.
But do you understand from a listener's perspective, especially a listener who lives in the metro New York area, how amazing it is that we live in, this is it's the biggest city in the, it may not be the biggest city in the world, it's New York City. And you guys are the experts in this field. And there's nobody that you can say, this is the guy you got to go to in New York City.
Well,
There's a guy you love in North Carolina. There's a guy you love in Vancouver.
Well, Joe does something different than what I do. And what I did was years ago, 20 years ago, I decided that the doctors who are doing the procedure in a certain way, who have invested in the infrastructure of their practices, who were doing at the time pure follicular unit transplantation, who were using microscopes, who had a full-time staff, so on and so forth, and there were few, should be separated from all the fucking butchers out there. And that was pretty controversial because no one had ever, in any field of medicine, made a distinction like that. So I did that. And the IHRS has had well over now 2,000 applicants in 20 years. It's still very small. But now what I say is, as the industry has evolved, that all the doctors who are part of what we do are good at what they do. They have the most consistent results. But we're taking doctors from a pool of physicians, for the most part, sadly. I would say, I mean, if you just go according to the IHRS, that would mean that less than 5% of physicians who have applied, or 5% who are even practicing in North America, are even worth considering. That's pretty fucking crazy.
It is.
So that's what I offer with the IHRS. Like, okay, these guys are offering good, they have good, consistent results. They're doing things the right way. I may not agree with everything. I may not agree with the way that they may have a certain type of consultant that I don't agree with, or a consulting process that I disagree with, or they may sell low-level laser light therapy, which the American Hair Loss Association has still not given a full thumbs up to, or they may, be offering a PRP protocol that I'm not necessarily convinced is working. However, they're all doing reasonable surgery that is state-of-the-art, and they all are willing to support our message of don't have surgery. Surgery is a last resort. That's what we do. That's what I do. Joe is much more specific. And so you can't really say that, there's no great doctors in the New York tri-state area, because if you take a look at the IHRS list,
there's guys on it from New York. I see it.
You're going to see guys who are on it from New York. And if you actually do some research on these guys, you realize they're the most consistent guys in the business. In the tri-state area, New York tri-state area. So, I would never say, I'm sorry, Joe, I would never say, go to this guy. I've never done that my entire career. Doctors hate the fact that I won't give a, like, okay, I recommend this guy for you type of a situation. I don't want that responsibility either. You guys have to do your own fucking research. Here's a good place to start. That's it.
And I'm gonna say, like, I don't say, like, the doctors on my list, I don't say go to them. I just say, like, if I were to consider a doctor in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, I would go to Dr. Cooley. If I were, obviously, Dr. Wong, or, insert doctor here for this region.
But
With
you're
New
not
York
willing to say who you were not saying who you might go to if you lived in the New York area.
Well, there are a few clinics that look like they're good, but in a case like New York, I'd say defer to the IAHRS list of doctors that have made the list.
And I know there's guys on the list. I've seen the list, and
do your research. I mean, even with my list of doctors, if there was one or two doctors in New York, I'd say do your research. But these are who I like based on my own standards. But I also haven't had. I had one doctor in New York apply, and he didn't really. Their way of doing things didn't mesh with what I thought worked for me. Happy patients, but wasn't up to my standards, so it didn't work out. There are no other doctor in New York has actually approached me about working with me. There are a couple that I think might match up, but I don't know, because they're not opening their doors to me to say, yeah, this is how we do things behind the scenes, and all. That's what I got to know. So there may be someone in New York. I just don't know.
I hear you. This is just all I'm just speaking from. It's just funny. If you're going to have heart surgery, you're going to go to a guy in New York. If you're going to have brain surgery, you're going to find a guy in New York. New York's going to have the best doctors.
Let me tell you this. I'm from New York, and I do not buy into New York being the center of the fucking world with everything that's great. I can tell you some of the biggest quacks that I've ever met in every field. Everyone's like, go to Sloan Kettering if you have cancer. Go to this.
It's a big city.
Everyone is fucking people up.
I understand.
The biggest names in the business.
In when I was working here in Vancouver in the clinic, I used to have people say, why should I come up to Vancouver when I'm in Beverly Hills, the cosmetic surgery capital of the world? Why can't I find a doctor here?
Right. Doesn't that make sense to you?
In 10 years ago,
why would it make sense?
There wasn't anyone in Beverly Hills.
Let me tell you this: if someone leads with the fact that they're a Beverly Hills cosmetic surgeon or plastic surgeon, I'm out the fucking door. It only means that they have figured out a way to afford to pay rent in Beverly Hills. That is it. Just like anybody who's on Park Avenue.
I'm waiting for the marketing of a doctor saying, I know a doctor in Beverly Hills. That's why you should choose me.
I'm in Beverly Hills. I know what it takes to live in Beverly Hills and to work and to lease a place in Beverly Hills. And all it takes is good business sense. That's it. These guys were able to make more money than the guys who have to have an office in Encino. That's it. It doesn't mean that they're any better.
Well, this is what I love about your show and about both you guys. You guys do nothing but speak the truth, and you speak what's in your heart. So I appreciate you did not answer my question, and I appreciate that you just speak. You try to help people. But I would ask you one last thing. With your show in the future, I would love to hear more or have more guys on that have some experience in some BHT, meaning beard specifically or chest, behind the hairline, that kind of thing. Who does it really well? What your thoughts about it are, how it looks.
I'd rather not have the doctors on. What we can do is we can put out a call to action to have people who may be being paid to pimp out their doctors. That's the way that this world works.
I'm curious to see, because I don't hear a lot about that from you guys, and it's there's a lot of people that are in a point in their lives where that's their only option. So I'm curious.
Let me ask you one question. Go ahead, Joe.
I'll tell you why you don't hear a lot about it from me, is because no one's good at it to the point where it's consistent across the board. There are some clinics that claim that they do it often. I think that at best, if you're getting 75% growth every once in a while, you're lucky. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to, it may be the last resort for some people, and I get that, but no one that I'm aware of is doing it consistently enough. Even guys I may work with that are doing body hair consistently enough to where I can say, yeah, well, this is something you want to consider. I'll say consider body hair as a last resort if it is truly a last resort, and if you've done your research and you know that you got maybe a 1 in 3 chance of being happy enough with the yield and the appearance of it. Because it's a different animal altogether, completely different animal than scalp hair.
Also,
you got smaller follicles. You got few hairs per follicle. You got different differences in texture and all these different things, and it's a hell of a lot harder to get out to the point where it'll survive for the long term. So, I mean,
also,
the odds
you're
are really
60. You just told me that you're 60 years old, dude.
Yeah.
Now you have hair from a transplant. You said you have curly hair. What color? What color is your hair?
It's brownish to salt and pepper at this point.
Okay.
Salt and pepper.
Now at 60, I don't know what your. Are you married at this point?
Oh yeah. I'm married with 3 adult kids.
Okay.
In fact, I shouldn't. My oldest daughter is the press secretary to the next president of the United States, Bill de Blasio.
Wow.
So, and I say that tongue in cheek.
I know you do. Wow.
But that's what she does for a living.
Wow.
So, everything's good in my life.
So she's a communist. I'm just kidding. I am just kidding, dude.
Well, I have been called a communist in my past by a past governor of New Jersey.
Really?
Yes, the governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, called me a communist from Montclair at one point in my life.
Wow.
So
that's
in any event.
So you're a mover
everything
and
in my life
shaker
is
in politics there.
What's that?
So you're a mover
No,
and
I'm really
shaker in
not.
politics.
I'm not, but my daughter is. But
So I guess my question to you is this:
is why?
It's not even just why. If you wanted to improve your appearance, if you wanted to augment your appearance, why wouldn't you consider, instead of getting body hair transplanted to your fucking head, why wouldn't you consider maybe a very light hair system in the back?
Oh, there's no chance. I'm not doing that.
Oh, but no chance. But I'll transplant
I know.
hair from my fucking neck to the top of my head.
$20,000. I'll spend $20,000 on a gamble to move 3 hairs from my back to my head.
That's why you guys do what you do, and you should write a book about all the lunatics that call your show. You guys would have a bestseller, because there's no rhyme or reason. It doesn't make any sense, but there's no chance I would wear anything. But yes, I would consider that if I thought it could work.
I'm curious. I want to know your reasoning, your rationale, when you say there's no chance. Like basically, it's what?
It's permanent. When you transplant the hair on top of your head, once it's there, it's permanent.
So does your wife get up in the morning when she goes out? Does she put on makeup?
I could yell down and ask her. If we go out at night, she does. I don't think she puts it on in the morning. No.
Well, I mean, when she leaves the house to go out.
No, I think. Hey, Laura. No,
he doesn't even know.
No, I don't. I mean, I've been married for 30 years. I don't. You know. I mean, I think she puts on something in the morning. Yeah.
Of course she does.
Yeah. She's a lot better looking than I think.
Yeah, she is not the person she wakes up to be. That's just the way.
No, I know. I've heard your shtick before.
But that's just the reality. So I mean, to me, when you're in a position like this and you're married, you have a good life. It seems like you have a good life. To risk any type of surgery, elective surgery, when you can buy something for $200 that will be feather light, that would give you everything that you need, that would be very simple to utilize, especially since you have curly hair, to give you the appearance that you want. It just seems that to me that seems backwards. But I get it.
No, it's funny because you get it, and I also get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you're not going to change my mind. But
listen, I'm not selling hairpieces, so I don't need to change your mind.
Yeah, that's the best part about you guys. You don't sell anything.
Yeah. Well, for now. For now.
Well, anyway, I want to thank you guys. You guys have you do a great job, and I told you this last time I called you. You do God's work, and hope you become incredibly wealthy and famous for this. You both deserve it. And Joe, you look phenomenal, and Spencer, you also look phenomenal. So, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
All right, man. Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, buddy.
Don't like the fact that he said Joe looked phenomenal first, but I'm going to just file that away.
Hey, here's to hoping he's a prophet. That's all I can say.
All right, guys, we're not going to take any more calls. We are shutting off the phones now. So I'm sorry, whoever's on hold, but it's late. So call back on Tuesday. Goodbye. Joe, give out the websites.
The websites are starting over in Paris, France. Actually, not Paris, but a little town west of Paris. We've got international-hairlossforum.com. It's a French hair loss and hair restoration forum. Clinics sharing results, patients sharing their complete stories, like very detailed, their experiences with hair restoration and hair loss. Great supporter of our message and allow us to stream this program through their web property. That's international-hairlossforum.com. Next up, we've got bellicapelli.forumfree.it. It's the Italian hair loss and hair restoration forum. Great interaction with clinics sharing results and patients very passionately sharing their experiences and their own results. And the owner of that website is also a passionate hair transplant repair patient, longtime friend of mine, longtime friend of the show, and allowing us to stream this show through his web property. That's bellicapelli.forumfree.it. And finally, we got hairlossexperiences.com. It's the British hair loss and hair restoration forum. Again, clinics sharing results, patients sharing experiences, and the owner also a passionate repair patient, helping other patients behind the scenes find the answers and solutions they need. That's hairlossexperiences.com. Check them all out.
You're waiting for me to speak?
Yes, I am.
Keep it going, man. There's more website.
No. This is yours.
Joe Tillman's website. hairtransplantmentor.com. That's everything Joe Tillman. If you want to learn about Joe's journey, excuse me, and find out why he is who he is, it's a great place to do research. It's a great place to see, there really is hope out there. I mean, Joe was really fucked up, and you look at him now, it shows his entire journey, his entire process. So check out hairtransplantmentor.com. Also a great place to learn about some IAHS physicians that Joe works with personally. Again, hairtransplantmentor.com. Check out Joe's personal YouTube page. We utilize that page to do the live video stream besides GFQ because we want to grow this page. Just like, what's his name from Houston? I'm old. Apparently, I could drop dead tomorrow. So there needs to be another resource, and we're building it. And that's Joe Tillman's page, which is youtube.com/hair transplant mentor. Subscribe, ring the bell so that you guys are notified every time we are live. And, if you're watching the program, just fucking like the thing.
Just fucking like it.
It's not hard, guys. We do this for nothing. I know that's difficult for you to believe, but we do. Stupidly. For archives of this broadcast, once in a while, once we get them back up, it's thebaldtruth.com. Check that out. Subscribe to thebaldtruth.com. Also, you can subscribe on iTunes. You can check out the guys from Queens Network. Everyone who's listening on iHeartRadio, iTunes Radio, Stitcher Radio, thank you so much for your patronage. I've noticed that we're getting a lot more people from those resources who have been contacting us. Guys, my Instagram page. I don't even have 1,000 people. It's ridiculous. I'm trying to build it organically. So just go on Instagram at Spencer Coburn and follow me. It's not a big fucking deal. You can set up some phony, page if you need, if you're ashamed to be following the bald guy. It's not a big deal. Do us a favor. Follow me and also like the posts. They're the only posts on the internet, sadly, at least on Instagram, that are telling you the truth about this fucked up field. So support it at Spencer Coburn. Also, baldtruthtalk.com, which is our message forum. Again, my message is stay off the fucking forums. But you're not going to, so you might as well check out baldtruthtalk.com. Right, Joe?
Right. Yes, well said.
And, of course, the American Hair Loss Association, AmericanHairLoss.org. And if you're considering surgical hair restoration, my voice is going, check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. That's IAHRS.org. We are growing. You're going to see more physicians who are becoming associate members of the organization who are willing to support our message of surgery is the last resort, patients before profits. That's our hashtag. And we're going very strong this year. I've given the more, let's say, mainstream part of this field the opportunity to do whatever they could to really, really help you guys. That opportunity is off the table. They are floundering. What's happened just since October to this field is a fucking travesty. It is a disgrace, and frankly, I want nothing to do with a group of people who are really more concerned about power and hierarchy and politics than their own patients. That's how I feel. And I've decided to go strong starting next month. So look forward to that. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for hanging out and tuning in. Take care.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad